Thank you again for visiting us this day. And today we will focus on Careen and her message about food and color and emotion. Careen, back to you.
Thank you, Eunice. Um, okay, so where do I start? I think I just want to I want to just go a step back. In our previous conversation, we spoke about food freedom and getting into a space where we learn to listen to our bodies.
Mm.
And I want to encourage the listeners to consider what they are doing at the moment in terms of meals, snacks, the frequency of how they eat. And the reason why I'm asking this is because if we, so there's, I first want to say there is reason behind why we talk about eat when you're hungry, but
Mhm.
sometimes we unlearn to listen to our bodies, or we kind of numb ourselves because there's so much noise from outside. And to I want to say to move that out of the way, to kind of to sidestep that and to move into a space where you are able to listen to yourself. My encouragement to people are always get back to eating breakfast, get back to eating lunch and eating supper. And if you have challenges with your blood sugar levels or inflammation or anything that could potentially cause trouble from those kind of angles, it might be an idea to have a smaller meal and have a snack. Remember, not everybody needs a snack. I'm just putting this on the table as considerations. And the
Okay,
thing I want to add with this is it's not just about you're having meals and so many snacks. It's about you create a rhythm, a routine for yourself. And in the end, your body knows, okay, I'm eating this now. I am going to get a next meal. And I
okay.
am going to get a next meal. Because sometimes if we only follow our own cues, remember, which might be distracted because you have had a busy morning or you didn't have time to prepare something. So you just go on until there's a next opportunity to get something to eat, anything like that, then your body responds to that as I'm being starved, I'm in stress. So then your sympathetic, is that the right word in English? I think yes, I think so. Your sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight and flight system, that blocks everything. Okay. And then there's so much pressure that's put on your body. And in the
Mm.
end, and I don't want to go technical, but the cortisol release, which is our stress hormone, then wreaks absolute havoc in your body. So the way to go to counter that and to get that out of the way, to move into that space where you can be comfortable around food, is to create a rhythm for yourself where you know, okay, I eat breakfast more or less at this time, lunch more or less at this time, supper more or less at this time. And maybe it is a thing that you need to have something, whether it's a really small amount of nuts or I don't want to go into the detail, but like
Yeah.
some kind of a small snack, for example, mid-morning. And it could be that you need something to have available mid-afternoon. It might be that you don't need that.
So,
But
Karine, so you are, if I understand you correctly, it is like understanding the psychology of your body. When
yes,
you want to activate the parasympathetic nerve, and that is
yeah,
the,
the
the,
rest is relaxed.
the resting and the healing
Yeah.
nervous system. So, to understand that or to activate that is to give your body a structure. And when he has a structure, he feels safe. And when he
Yes.
feels safe, by giving him that meal and snack on whatever your body's psychology is telling you to do. But I suddenly understand something. This is like a light bulb going on, Karine. Thank you so much. And that is to give safety, and safety lies in a routine for your
Yeah.
body. And tell your body,
Yes.
don't stress, you are going to eat something at that time.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Because remember, if we create that routine, we're basically setting boundaries for ourselves. And
Mhm.
within those boundaries, we can feel safe.
Okay.
And it might even be that you are then in a scenario where you are tempted with a whole lot of stuff that's maybe not the ideal thing in terms of sugar load or trans fats or, the unhealthy stuff, the things that's not so good for our bodies. But
Yeah,
then because you've got that structure, because you know how you feel safe within your own rhythm, then you will be
yeah,
less tempted to go for things that you otherwise might not go for.
sure. And
So,
that is, yeah, it's
yeah.
fantastic insight. It's really, it's like breakthrough information. Monique, do you agree?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we want to always get to rest and digest space. And I just want to add in here that it's just like what Careen said. It is the snacking might work for you and snacking might not work for someone else because we always need to be we always need to remember and be reminded that we are all uniquely created, and that also means our bodies, right?
Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
just our attributes and our what's the word I'm looking for? But our personalities, our bodies are also designed uniquely. And that's why it's so important to listen to our bodies because it might be telling you, you can't follow this routine because that's not how I function.
yeah.
Mm.
It's so
Yes,
important.
yes, yes. And then if I may add to that, sorry,
Back to
if
you.
I if I may add to that, I think um if we get back to the color thing, I think for me, the simplest way to put it is to try and eat a rainbow of colors. And the reason why we always say that is all of those color components, um, we sometimes call them, we group them as phytochemicals, phytonutrients, whichever you want to, however you want to describe them. But all of them are different messengers in our bodies. So all of the different color components, and I want to say they're like literally the whole rainbow. Even if you get to the white stuff, if you think of garlic and even things like potato, which is actually still
Mm,
high in vitamin C. um, so I just want to say that like the whole spectrum of color is supportive for our bodies, and for
mm.
that reason, it's good to try and add as much color as possible in your diet to have that variety, and maybe to challenge yourself to move away from but because the I think the trap many people fall into is we go for the same things, and I understand that some people are just comfortable with doing what they are, what they're confident in preparing and what's easy available, etc. But maybe to go for a whole grain option as opposed to just like the refined choices,
Mm.
or if you
Mm.
are
Mm.
someone who loves potatoes, then maybe it is time to bring in some sweet potato, or to bring in some beets, or there's so many different kind of veggies that we kind of from a media perspective and from a well, how shall I put it? Like the popular ways of eating, there might be things that you actually enjoy eating, but you've stopped eating that because of all of the noise that's going on in the world outside and around us. And maybe it's time for you to bring that back and to reconsider and to
Yeah,
explore, but how does this make me feel? And do I feel energized? Do I feel tired? Do I
right.
does it make me feel hungry quickly?
Mm.
Or do I feel like I have brain fog and I can't think? All of
Mm.
those things are things to bring into the equation. And remember, in the end, we want to move into that space where we can really enjoy food again without
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
guilt, without the, I want to say, the lethargy stealing your joy.
Yes.
But that's different from one person to the next.
Yeah.
And even in a family, that might be different. So it's good to explore, but not to force.
Yes, yes, yes. What it boils down to for me, what I've heard you saying is that um, be more attentive of how the food are making you feel,
Yes.
and listen to that emotion. And I think even if we can just narrow this down to one simple thing, is to remind ourselves to listen to what do you feel while I eat this? Not in just in terms of I'm feeling tired, but do I really feel joy? Why do I feel this? And I
Yeah.
think it's so important to discuss this. And I remember last year we touched on the color and emotions, and someone came back to me and she said, I cannot afford to eat the whole rainbow. And then you said, but it's not necessary to spend a lot of money to be able
Mm.
to eat the whole rainbow. And I think
Yeah.
if you can guide us in and bring us back to that place of safety,
Yeah.
that it will not cost you an arm and a leg, but
Yeah.
to know that, yes, you can help us with choices to make. And I want to invite everyone to go to Careen and to contact her for more coaching and more detail regarding specific food groups and food choices.
Mm.
Anything you can just add to that, feeling safe by eating the rainbow.
Yes, I think I want to just add on what you said now. So I understand the people's concerns about the cost. I think that's one thing. And for people who have read a lot in terms of organic produce, etc., there is a there it's valid. But I want to say I want to actually just maybe combine those two and say, especially for people who, for example, are maybe just two in a household or are on their own. I think
Mhm.
in those scenarios, it's often very challenging to, in terms of food shopping, to think, but how do I do my planning so that I can incorporate the colors? And
Mm.
I always tell clients, look, first of all, look at what is seasonal. So
Mm.
seasonal produce typically are much higher in nutritional content because it's not been stored for a long time, or it's just it's it was recently harvested and now we can enjoy it.
Mm.
That's the one thing in terms of price. And I say that, and as I say this, I realize not everybody does have access to like a farmer's market or
Yeah.
a more original fruit and vegetable shop. But if you have access to something like that, often people complain because the food don't last that long. But they don't last that long because they have not been put through all sorts of chemicals and processes and stuff to make it last so long.
Exactly.
So you have to be a little bit more clever with your
Mm.
planning. But what I want to also encourage with that is, if we say eat a rainbow, we want to incorporate as many possible um, different colors, different variety, good variety. But it might be that your cycle of including the color work over 3 weeks. So this week you might focus on these foods. Next week, you go for different options. The week after, you change it up, you mix it up again. And in that way, it becomes easier to incorporate more variety and more colors. Yes, it does take some planning, but I want to encourage people, invest in yourself, invest in that freedom around food, and take the time out to sit down and consider, okay, what is it that I can, what is my budget, what is it that I can, that I'm comfortable with working into the meal planning for the week. And maybe
Mm.
also explore a bit. I mean, there's so much available on the internet in terms of recipes, etc. So look into, maybe challenge yourself to say, okay, I want to, I don't know, let's say something like peppers. Consider, how can you bring this into your diet, or in what way can you incorporate this? Um, and then I think, I don't want to go into the whole organic conversation too much. There's quite a lot of things that we can include there as well. But let's just, maybe a starting point would be to consider, okay, so if I change or if I plan my week for, in terms of menu planning, if I do it differently and I consider what is available to me now and how can I alternate it over maybe 2 or 3 weeks, just to make it a bit more practical. Does that
You know what
help?
yeah, yeah, a lot. Because what I also hear is when you do take the time to do that planning. It also helps your body feeling safe.
Yes.
And that is what we want. That feeling of you feel safe, you feel relaxed, you feel at rest, and then your body also in one breath heals from whatever is necessary to be healed about. So,
Yeah.
wow, it helps a lot. And I think we can start. If you don't have anything else to add to this wonderful topic of freedom and color and a place of safety for our bodies, we can maybe ask Monique, do you have any more questions? Otherwise, we can end off this incredible conversation with you, Careen. Monique, anything from your side?
I just want to say, from a person that's being overwhelmed, is just start where you're at, right? Start with what you have, where you're at, and just challenge yourself to add like one extra color to your plate, because you'll notice your serotonin and your dopamine, which is your feel-good hormones, are going to get spiked because they say, oh, because you get excited about the plate, right? I put this to the test over the holidays, and I made this dish. I won't bore you with the details, but it was just one color, and it was not a very appealing color thanks to a heavy hand of soy sauce. And I was really like, do I really have to eat this now? You know,
Really?
I had to kind of like like biohack my body and my brain to be like, just eat this, it's good. Might not look appealing, it's fine. So we don't really understand. I don't really think a lot of us really grasp how important the colors are on our plates, because we eat with our eyes first. So if it's not going to be appealing, then you're most likely going to tell yourself, it's not going to be nice. Meanwhile, it can be like the best meal you've ever had, but it's because of the color that it affects the rest of your being, right? So start where you're at and just see if you can add one more color, and then again see how you feel, right? Be in the moment, be in the moment of feeling, right? Because we also numb ourselves with the voices out there, and we kind of forget what a feeling it is and what joy it brings to actually eat and partake of a meal.
I get the feeling that we are the health trio here. And
Eunice,
yeah.
sorry, before you close the session, I just want to say I want to echo what Monique said, because remember, if I talk about maybe bring in more color over a period of 3 weeks, I'm talking about that's your goal that you're working towards. And it's really important to break that down into the simplest first step that you can take. And like Nick said, just start with one color. So I want to emphasize that. Start small and do that consistently. And then when you come comfortable with that, add something new.
Fantastic. And all the while listening to your body and how your body reacts to whatever you feel you need to bring in. Is it feeling stressed, or does it relax? And
Yeah.
I think that is, to me, our nervous system is to me like the true north it's all about. And yes, what a wonderful conversation. I just want to ask this one question. Why do we love Christmas time? It's because everything is red and green and colorful. Maybe that is a reminder to stay in that Christmas season atmosphere for the rest of the year. Thank you so much, Careen. There's so much that we can learn from you and that we will learn from you in the year to come. And I really want to invite people, if they have any questions, to put it on the group or to just contact you. They have your detail. If you don't have it, come back to me and ask me for that detail. And I just bless your knowledge and your studies. And I really also want to remind people to contact you about coaching towards their health. Thank you for the contribution from both of you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.